All right, what's up, y'all? It's LakerFan here, and as y'all can see, it's that time of year. 2K22 news is dropping. Mike Wang is dropping gems on the timeline, and we just love to see it. So what we got for you guys today is a review of every badge that's been removed and added in NBA 2K22. So we're going to go over that, and then I'm going to give you my own little day one initial tier list of what I think these badges are going to do as far as the power goes. Now, this is all just for viewing and kind of entertainment aspect of us just kind of trading thoughts a little bit initially. It's not me trying to give an informal, good review and just telling you guys this is how good the badge is going to be, because we've never even tested the gameplay or anything like that yet, but I just want to give my initial thoughts on it and see what you guys think as well. And I kind of want to give you guys a glimpse as to what I'm talking about here that I kind of created here. I just wanted to give a little review on what I thought all the badges power was going to be from day one, actually before day one. This is my before day one review of the badges. And again, I just really do want to stress, this is me just giving my initial thoughts on things. It's not me telling you guys what badges are going to be overpowered and what's, definitively going to be the badge that you should put on and all types of stuff like that. This is just me just talking with you guys and trading some thoughts. So if you do enjoy the video, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on them noties, all that good stuff. Let's try to get this one to 1,000 likes. I don't know when by, but let's just try to hit 1K likes on this video. Now, shout out to my guy Pelagio here. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his name. We've been following each other for a little bit here. He posts all types of spreadsheets and just easy to read things and makes things very simple. This is what he does very often, so go drop him a follow on Twitter. He is clutch with this stuff, and I really do appreciate him. So, with this, I'm going to talk about the removed badges first, and then we'll talk about the added badges. And as I talk about the added badges, I'm just going to come back to here. So again, we're just going to talk about the removed badges first and foremost. So we got a lot of things that deal with takeover and time of the game aspects. So for instance, I'll just talk about the takeover ones first. You got Hot Shot is being removed, Heat Seeker, Highlight Film. We have Heart Crusher that drops your takeover as well, and then we have Hot Stopper that boosts your takeover for defensive plays made. So long story short is a lot of takeover things are being taken out of the game, and I do kind of appreciate that. A lot of these things notably broke the game, like Hot Shot early 2K21 next gen, with people fading and all types of stuff like that, was literally just breaking the game. Heat Seeker, and I should say Showtime, so to say, in current gen, has the game broken throughout the whole course of the year, pretty much. They do, however, not have Flashy Passer on here, so that is one thing that probably stayed, or maybe they just changed it into a different name. I'm not sure. Long story short, it's not in this right here, so they didn't add a badge that's to do with Flashy Passer, and they didn't remove Flashy Passer. So that might be the only takeover related thing that actually stayed in the game. Now, then you have things like Clutch Defender, we have Trapper, Relay Passer. I guess in a sense, Antifreeze is a takeover related badge because it slows the progress of your meter going down, or the amount of takeover you have going down for taking bad shots. So you could make the case that is a takeover related badge as well, but it was kind of just trash and useless if you ask me. Maybe running on bronze, but either way, long story short, they took out deep threes. Now, if you see this without looking over here first, you're going to be like, yo, are you serious? They took out deep threes? What are they even doing? But there is a little bit of a spread of two different badges to make up for that. We'll get to that in a second. They took out Tireless Shooter. That is very interesting, I'm not going to lie, because it kind of covers their back a little bit if stamina is really bad, and I think taking this out is a very bad move just to cover their backs a little bit of if the game's stamina is really bad. It's just not a badge that I think needed to be removed. I think this is one that's a pretty good glue badge to have in the game, and it'll make up for bad gameplay tuning if, like I said, stamina is really, really bad, and you need it to make up for the fact that you're taking super, blinking red shots just to be able to get open, pretty much. That's how I feel about Tireless Shooter. Don't think they should have removed it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I also didn't mention Ice and Veins. I still don't think they needed to take this badge out either, but at the end of the day, it's a pretty useless badge too. So I'm sure they just didn't want to cloud up the amount of badges in the game and have literally 120 of them or something like that are just filled with useless stuff like Ice and Veins. Now, I mean, if you want to talk about useless badges, they should have taken out Pass Fake Maestro and Pump Fake Maestro. I have no clue if those are still in the game, and I would assume that they are still in the game because they weren't in the removed list here. So at the end of the day, who knows? Anyway, you got Relay Passer on here as well, and then we have things like Trapper and Clutch Defender as well. At the end of the day, like I said, these aren't really that big of a deal of badges. I thought Relay Passer was a cool idea, but it's still pretty useless. Nobody really runs this, and there's really never a situation that you should run it. It's just, I don't know, it's a pretty useless badge. So here's my baby tier list. Again, this is something that should be taken very lightly. It's all for entertainment purpose and just sharing some thoughts with you guys and just having some fun with this information that we got today. So anything that I have in green is going to be an A, anything that I have in blue is going to be a B, anything in yellow is a C, and then anything in red is a D. Now, as you can see, I only have 2 Ds, 2 Bs, and then a lot of C's and a lot of A's. So and one WTF right here. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, hopefully you guys can read this. I have it about as big as I can possibly make it. The vertical spread of this is just how it is. I could have split it into two, split it in half right down the middle right here, and then just put it horizontally, but I figured that would really mess with the little like ranking list right here. So anyway, hopefully this is all good. Hopefully you can see it. So we're gonna start from the top. Limitless spot up, ability to hit logo range threes off a catch and shoot. Now the reason I have this at C, I really don't think this is gonna be super necessary. I just feel like if you're a spot up, you're probably going to the corner. If it's anything to do with, you know, 3v3 or 2v2, whatever it may be. Now, maybe for 2v2, if you got two ball handlers, this would be pretty fire because then you can just spot up hash, boom, it's all good. You can spot up super deep, albeit at that, and then ISO would be super cake because it's gonna be super hard to double team as long as your one ISO guy is going off one wing rather than the top of the key. Either way, I do feel like this badge doesn't have a lot of utility just because, again, most spot ups are probably going to be in the corner, but this is going to be very big time for the Pro-Am people who are going to be spotting up hash, or even the point guards to some extent. I do want to mention the PGs with this because I had a thought with this badge. I have a homie, AK, who rarely shoots off catch and shoots in the first place. He loves to just, you know, if he catches that stuff and he's almost wide open, he still puts it on the ground and just goes off a dribble because a lot of the guards don't like the catch and shoot timing rather than their off dribble timing, and that's just how it is. Now you add to it that it's going to cost you badge points to even just run something for your catch and shoot. I highly doubt a lot of PGs are going to run this, if you know, unless maybe they touch it up on like bronze, maybe silver. But I highly doubt a lot of point guards are going to touch this because you have the new badge called Chef. Now, maybe this is only step back threes, and this one is just standstill threes. Now, I highly doubt that's what the case is because the description of it literally says off a catch and shoot, and then this one says off dribble deep threes. But we've seen this difference literally in the last 2K. Last year it was spot up precision as the takeover in next gen, and it worked for point guards standing still. It was better than limitless threes. It helped you shoot the ball from deep, like super deep as well, but at an enhanced rate. It actually like made your rating better. It didn't like, you know, just negate the distance of the three-pointer. It literally just made you better at shooting standstill threes. So my thing is, they might kind of screw this up as far as the badge goes, but assuming that this is for anything to do with moving with the ball in your hand, and that this is for anything to do with just catch and shoot, I'm going to assume that Chef is going to be way better for the sake of, you know, just utility pretty much. Point guard is going to run this without a doubt, and then this one right here is still not even that useful for the spot up shooters because sometimes they're probably just going to be in the corner. Now, if you are somebody that likes to spot up from the wing, probably going to be fire for you. I would definitely run this from day one, and if you're trying to be Klay Thompson or Steph Curry without the ball in his hands, where you're just running around and just looking for moving threes and you're trying to shoot from super deep, this is probably going to be a fire badge for you. I just don't think in most 2K gameplay that that's a very useful thing to do. Now, you have lucky number 7, boost your ability to score when shooting early in the clock. I put this in C because I feel like it's too forceful. And if the meta ever kind of revolves around this, people are just going to be really smothering you and really denying ball early in the shot clock and stuff like that. And then it kind of negates it. It's very easily countered in terms of the meta, if you ask me. Now, for fast break threes and stuff like that, that's going to be fire. For Pro-Am, super big time. Even in 3v3, like stage scenes and stuff like that, obviously there is a chance that you get fast break threes, so to say. It's very rare that fast break is really a thing that's kind of glamorized in stage, but honestly, that could be a factor to it this year. So now we have mismatch expert, and yes, I did just completely swap this out from C+ to B-. Now, I think this actually is going to be a pretty solid badge. The only thing is that it's very specific with what the situation is, but there is a chance that the whole taller defenders could just be an aspect to your height ratio, aka if you make a very small point guard and you have, say, like a 6'5" lock on you still, like say you make a 6-foot point guard and you have a 6'5" or 6'6" lock on you, and this still activates and it's still very useful in that sense, this could be really nasty. But I will say, for the sake of just the fact that it could just be only for a very high height variance, where if you're a 6-foot point guard, it needs to be like someone that's 6'9" or higher guarding you. It's probably not the most useful thing because it's not going to be everybody you run into that's going to switch and, you know, play sides and all that stuff between their lock and their big. Now, for 2v2, this could be disgusting. Like, 2v2 is all about pretty much forcing the mismatches, forcing the big to step up on you because you have pretty much no help side defender out of the corner. So when you play sides in 2v2, it's very people just don't do sides very often in 2v2 because it's very rare that you ever want to give up that switch or that you want to give up a free slip, because 2 points, it's make it take it. They just keep on dunking and they're just going to keep on dunking until they win. Whereas in 3v3, you can kind of give up those 2-point shots a little bit more, and you have that corner defender to kind of rotate out the corner and maybe give your big a little bit of problems, get an interception, stuff like that, whatever it may be. Anyway, my whole point though is that this really is going to be useful. However, in the sense of like 3v3, where not everybody plays sides and it's not always going to be the easiest for you to force a mismatch or anything like that, it's probably not going to be something that you can just force every single possession, but very good to run, I would say. That's why I still have this in the B. It is B-, but honestly, this is subject to change. It probably could be increased if the meta develops to be more switch everything and playing sides rather than complete front back with the big and the lock and maybe a small lock. I don't know what the meta is. That's why I have this a little bit lower right now. So fast twitch, I put in D. Look, I'm gonna just be real. We just came from 2K21 Next Gen with Rise Up. It was the most useless badge I've probably ever ran. It just was so irritating to not get standing dunks whenever I thought that it was a very easy situation to get a standing dunk. My player is, 6'10" with the tendency super high as well on that, and has 99 standing dunk and all that, and just wouldn't go up. Anyway, my point though, maybe I'm sleeping on this. I was thinking of this as more of a post score badge where it's for maybe like out of the post and doing like a little hook shot or anything like that. But then when I thought about it a little bit more, it makes sense for this to be more of a interior pick and roller badge, so to say. So maybe this ends up being actually really valid. I might be completely sleeping on this as a D, and I'll probably use it at the beginning of the game just to test it. And if I do like it, I will definitely change this D rating right here. But long story short is, I just went from Rise Up in 2K21 Next Gen, most useless badge I might have ever used in any 2K. It just is very disappointing. It just doesn't help you very much at what you would expect it to help you at, and it's really irritating. Grace under pressure. Ability to convert standing layups more efficiently. So this is essentially kind of a chain off of this one right here, where this one is for quicker standing layups and maybe to get the shot off quicker. This one right here is to convert it more efficiently, and it's pretty much just another version of close shot. I would just put it like that. Probably just a rating booster sort of thing where, it's essentially like the catch and shoot aspect where it's going to boost your 3-pointer. This one right here probably just boosts your standing layup and your close shot rating. Essentially, that's how I see it. And at the end of the day, that's not super important in my opinion. Maybe for the 1v1 court of post scores and stuff like that, or, for some pick and rollers, but I really don't think this is going to be a badge that's that much worth using personally, so that's why I have it at the C-. Limitless takeoff. Ability to soar from further away on driving dunk attempts. This sounds really fire. It sounds like a huge addition for slashers, and honestly, this used to be more of a height thing if you ask me. I always felt like with the 6'10" or 6'9" slasher, or even the pure slasher at that, you were able to get dunk animations from super far away. It was more about what animations you had equipped rather than the rating if you ask me, but height also still played a huge factor in this. Now, me personally, whenever I messed around a couple times on like BP builds, right, or like a point guard of some sort, and whenever I tried to dunk from the range that I was used to with my like 6'8" or 6'9", it just didn't happen. Now, I'm assuming that this is kind of an extension of that, where you're just gonna be able to dunk from super far away, and I think personally, I don't think they're ever gonna change anything with that whole height aspect. So if you're on a 6'9", 6'10" pure slasher and you got this badge all the way up to Hall of Fame, I honestly think this could be fire for you, and it's going to help a lot. Now, I do want to talk real quick. I will skip past Mouse in the House and get back to this, but I want to talk about this whole unstrippable and ball stripper thing. I put them both in the A tier because I think it's going to be a huge aspect to dunking in this game, of people going for strips on this. I mean, they literally added a badge for it. It's like pickpocket, and I wonder if pickpocket doubles down on that too. That is going to be gross if it does. But long story short is, they built a very good mechanic in the game of, like I said, the limitless takeoff is really cool, and then the unstrippable is also something that's worth noting too. And then Mouse in the House actually kind of adds on to this as well, where if you're a smaller player, you probably do want to go for the strips rather than the blocks when somebody's coming at you in the lane. However, the unstrippable counters that, and ball stripper is something that you're going to use as that mechanic. So it's all going to come down to what badge is more useful, and at the end of the day, if they're both good, then it's just going to kind of clash together, and it's all just kind of RNG at that point. But anyway, it is what it is. So anyway, back to the actual list itself. We got mouse in the house, ability for bigs to finish over shorter players more efficiently. I put this in B-. I feel like it's already kind of easy to do, at least from a slasher's perspective. Now, in 2K21 current gen, from a big man's perspective, or especially next gen, now that I think about it, the whole close shot thing, and really what this comes down to is in next gen, it was very rare to actually upgrade to close shot, and it wasn't that easy to get standing dunks on smaller players or anything like that. So at the end of the day, we just came from 2K21, current gen and next gen, where smaller players could really contest you pretty well in the paint, not from a driving aspect, but from a standing aspect, standing dunks, standing layups, stuff like that. Now, obviously, the pause and move in current gen, that's a whole different story. That thing is nuts for, you know, the big men and stuff like that. That really made bigs viable, at least in the dunking aspect that I'm talking about. It's standing dunks. But anyway, mouse in the house, like I said, I put in the B-. I don't think it's going to be something that's that necessary to run, because I really don't think it's very often that you get put in these situations. But I mean, if you combine the whole mismatch expert and mouse in the house, I mean, that's two mismatch things on 2v2 that are probably going to be very valid. So I will say, with those two badges that I both have in the B-, mismatch expert and mouse in the house, for 2v2, I'm calling that probably an A badge. Like, that is going to be big time, because you're trying to force the mismatches and you're trying to take advantage of the mismatches. So if you do get a big on a guard and a guard on a big, these are both going to work, and it's just kind of your picking. You pick your poison with that. Unstrippable, like I was saying, ability to secure the ball when gathering for a layup / dunk in traffic. This is going to be a very big addition because of the other addition that they had. We talked about that. We'll just kind of go down the list. I have this in the A tier though, because I am betting that it's going to be super necessary. I bet you stealing the ball under the hoop is going to be a huge thing this year that people are going to rely on, rather than actually going for the blocks or anything like that. So now we got glue hands. Now, me personally, I just don't even believe this badge should be a playmaking badge in general. I would like if they had just an etc. badge category where it really doesn't have to do anything with your archetype, because me personally, I don't think glue hands really fits into any of these. If anything, it fits in more to the slashing and sharp than playmaking, if you ask me. I think this is more of a catching badge rather than a passing badge or a dribbling badge. So it would make sense if this was more for making difficult catches in this aspect, or if you're cutting, making difficult catches like that. But at the end of the day, it's still a playmaking badge. I don't know how that's gonna deal as far as like how people make their builds, because if someone wants to make a finishing and defense build where it's going to be pretty much just a big man and they don't want anything to do with playmaking, anything to do with shooting, obviously that's going to be one thing that they might take a hit on, is the glue hands, and they're not going to be able to have that badge. Now, again, I really highly doubt this is going to be a super necessary badge, and at the end of the day, people are just going to blame the game if they make bad catches, because some people are going to say this shouldn't even be a badge in the first place. I do kind of agree with that statement, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. They put in the playmaking badge category. It just doesn't really make sense to me, but either way, I don't think it's going to be a super necessary badge to run. That's subject to change. We just got to see the gameplay and see how the catching mechanics work and stuff like that. Now, hyperdrive. Boost the speed and effectiveness of moving dribble moves. Now, this is going to be big time. I honestly probably could have put this in A+. I didn't know what to think of it the first time I read it, and then the more I really looked into it, of the whole boost the speed. I mean, if you see this word, speed and effectiveness of, add into that statement dribble moves, I mean, what more do you even want? That's huge. That's big time. I really think this is probably gonna be something that everybody's gonna run from day one on the point guard positions, and it would make sense to. This sounds just dominant. This sounds like quick first step, but like not the first step only, pretty much. So next we have quick chain. Boost the ability to quickly chain dribble moves together. I put this in A-. I don't think it's gonna be like a meta badge where like you have to run this to be able to be, you know, the best you can possibly be. I think it's gonna be something that's really cool for style points and, you know, kind of just stunting on people, like making them feel like garbage. But at the end of the day, this could be something that actually is pretty important too for size up combos or trying to crab people, stuff like that. So I do think this is one that's going to be pretty viable. People are definitely running this on day one as well, and it's subject to change with the testing, obviously. So then we have post playmaker. I put this in the WTF tier. This is just ridiculous. Boost the effectiveness of both shots and moves when playing in the post. I mean, what is that? Like, now, don't get me wrong. The variance and the ability that this gives you could be completely different than what I think it is. But if this actually is like effective, like if you put this on Hall of Fame and it's actually effective in that sense, this is going to be so stupid. Boost the effectiveness of both shots and moves when playing in the post. That literally deals with everything post scoring. It deals with post spin, drop steps, post hooks, post fades, post hops. That literally is everything. So I sure hope they have this in mind as far as the balancing they need to put into this badge right here, because this actually, the title right here, the post playmaker, was actually a takeover in next gen, and it was kind of useless to run if you ask me, especially at the fact that post scores just weren't good in next gen. Finally, first 2K ever that post scores weren't dominating in. Anyway, my whole point though, I just think they definitely should look at the tuning of this badge. Now, it's probably all done. They're not going to tune the game any more than what they've already done. They're not letting us test it. They're not giving out a demo or anything like that. So what is what is, and there's no changing that. So hopefully they did balance this and tune it a little bit. So next on the list, we got triple threat juke. Increases the effectiveness of triple threat fakes, jabs, and go moves. Now this right here is the one that really caught my interest, and I'll have to see what this actually means before I can give a good rating judgment on this. Obviously I give it the C- just because I don't think it's going to be very viable for anybody to do besides slashers, I suppose. Now, you guys know me from 2K20. I love the triple threat stuff. This is something that me, as a true slasher that didn't have any 3-point rating on his build or any shooting badges or anything like that, and it was me, the hoop, and the defender in the way, and you had to find your way to there, whether it was the hop, the dunk, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, that's a whole debate for another day of whether people think that's hard or not. I believe not having any 3-point rating is a tough thing to do when it comes to scoring, and especially in this game, it sounds like it's going to be tough too with the ball stripper thing, where people could maybe just camp paint and get away with spamming X down low. Might be kind of stupid. I do hope that the balancing between this is pretty good, where ball stripper and unstrippable kind of counter each other, and anybody who doesn't run ball stripper, you should be safe if people are trying to spam X below the hoop if you have unstrippable on your own player. Anyway, my whole point with the whole triple threat juke is I just don't think it's going to be super necessary for anybody but a slasher, and the slashers, it's probably still something you don't even have to do really. So at the end of the day, it's useless for point guards, it's useless for bigs. It is what it is. It doesn't really matter. Ball stripper. Again, we've already talked about this, but I'm just going to talk about it a little bit more. Ability to strip, layup, and dunk attempts more effectively. This is going to be nasty. I think this is probably one of the better new badges. I think this is going to be something that a lot of people rely on as far as their paint defense, and especially if you're going to the undersized big man too. I mean, if you're somebody who's not going to be able to hold your own that great when it comes to blocks or anything like that, this is going to be extremely important in my opinion, especially for Park too. Now, for Pro-Am, that's a story for a different day, because you obviously have to deal with like fouls and foul trouble and stuff like that, and then it's just kind of suspect to be going for reach-ins and spamming X and stuff like that. But in Park, where you can afford your fouls, because it's it's probably like a 5 to 6 minute game on 2v2, and then on top of that too, you have still a foul limit of 5, whereas in Pro-Am you have to play 4 5-minute quarters pretty much. It's just obviously not something you can afford to just constantly spam X and foul for. So it is what it is. Anyway, ball stripper, you guys get the deal. It's going to be a very effective badge. Now for hustler, this one I put in the D+. I just don't think this is going to be useful at all. Ability to get those scrappy 50-50 balls quicker than opponents. This just sounds like some corny stuff. Ability to get those scrappy 50-50 balls. Like, I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, this situation is not going to arise too much in the course of, let's say you play like a 2-hour session of Park or something like that. You're probably going to have this badge even be useful, even if it's elite at getting you 50-50 balls or loose balls or anything like that. You're probably going to have the situation pop up like 3 times, maybe 4. It depends on ball plucks and steals and stuff like that too, I guess. And maybe bump steals, this is actually going to be very important to recover the ball quickly, but I don't know. I just can't, judging by 2K's mechanics in previous years or anything like that, I can't see how this badge could possibly be elite in any sense of it, but I guess we'll see. About like a week and a half until the game actually comes out. Now, this one right here is going to be an absolute meme in the community for as long as I can think of, and it actually was on the thumbnail for this video, I believe. So, we have the Menace to Society badge, or just Menace badge. Significantly drops the offensive ratings of opponents when you smother them. Now, I'm assuming this means ball handling, 3-pointer, all types of stuff like that. This is going to completely negate the thought of what I see a lot of people saying on Twitter, how I believe in some of the gameplay tuning updates, Mike Wang was saying that height is actually going to matter a little bit in the sense of shooting over smaller defenders, and then you have this badge that kind of does the opposite, where it's about shooting over taller defenders on a switch. Anyway, my whole point though is this one is going to completely negate any thought that people had of that whole shooting over those, like, you know, like the Joe Knows and Duke Dennis type stuff from 2K19, where you're shooting over smaller defenders with a pure stretch big, or grinding. I gotta shout out grinding too. But at the end of the day, I just think this badge is going to completely negate that idea, because I mean, I mean, significantly drops the offensive ratings of opponents when you smother them. So if you're right in their face, they're having horrible ball handling drops, which they're already low with a pure stretch big. Then they have horrible drops on their 3-point rating and stuff like that too. I mean, at the end of the day, this menace badge is going to be a complete killer to taller bigs that are trying to have the ball in their hand. It's going to be really tough. I do think this one is going to be something that I'll just give my own perspective on. In 2K20, a lot of people played off of me as a slasher because they thought that, you know, he can't shoot, so just sag off him. Me personally, what I actually didn't like is when people smothered me and took advantage of the fact that my build has very low ball handling. And then on top of that, you add this menace badge into that. It's going to be a real tough time for anybody that has a low ball handle and trying to do something with it when somebody has this badge right here. So I do think the menace is going to be an absolute big killer in terms of them trying to do cool things with the ball in their hands. I think this right here, though, is going to be something that you probably have a little bit of a tougher time in terms of smaller guards and stuff like that, but it's still going to be a great badge to run even for that aspect. So I will say the badge is going to be great. I just think people are overrating it a little bit. I think maybe I'm underrating it in a sense, and it could be in the A rather than the A+, but either way, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on them noties, all that good stuff. If you made it to the end of the video, put Laker in the comments to show support's made all the way through. I do appreciate anybody who clicked on this video and made it to the end, and I really do appreciate any of you who maybe weren't watching any of the 2K21 stuff and you're here for the 2K22 grind. After taking a step back a little bit and kind of reviewing how this 2K21 year went, I'm definitely ashamed at myself for how I attacked it and approached it. You guys know me personally, I'm always talking about that Mamba mentality stuff, and I let that go. I didn't carry that with me for this 2K21 year, and 2K22 is going to be completely different. I am not ever letting myself get into that situation I was last year where I'm posting one video every like 3 weeks. What kind of, like, bro, if you guys have followed me in 2K17, 18, 19, 20, mostly 17 and 20, but if you guys follow me through the 2K20 journey and grind, I posted every single day, and at the end of the day, it all comes down to loving the game. I can't, you know, constantly post daily on a video game that I don't enjoy. And you guys can obviously relate to that if you don't play the game too often on 2K21. We're all looking forward to 2K22 being a good game. From my perspective and your perspective as a game player, and me in terms of me playing the game as well and just enjoying it. And then on top of that, for me with the content, it's necessary for me to enjoy the game to be able to play it and make content for it. I don't know what current or next gen version I'm gonna play yet. I'll let you guys know pretty shortly. I would assume I'm probably gonna be on next gen, but that all definitely depends on gameplay, all types of news and stuff that we get from that in the short coming week or anything like that. Or if they don't drop any news, we just gotta see for ourselves when the games actually drop. So anyway, that's all for the video. I hope y'all enjoyed. And like I said, if you made it to the end of the video, put Laker in the comments to show support. Let's try this one to 1,000 likes. And then that, hope y'all enjoyed. I want to mention one thing too. I'm going to post the second version of this video tomorrow. Not actually me doing the badges or anything like that, but I'm going to recap all the articles and stuff like that you know, the news drop had to do with, and I forget what it's called, the courtside report. That's what it is. I'm going to kind of review the courtside report for tomorrow's video that dropped today. I just wanted to wait on it a little bit more, maybe review the tweets that Mike Wang had as well, because he's still going on as I'm recording this at like 6 p.m. So anyway, there's a lot of news and stuff that I want to give you guys, and more than just this badge overview. I want to get you guys the news for tomorrow's video too. So anyway, that's all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed, and stay tuned for tomorrow's vid. Take it easy, man. Peace.